racing in the rain and on a wet track, the risk of aquaplaning is always there. There's too much standing water on the surface. The tire is no longer able to transport away the water underneath it. The car starts to skate and you can't control it or steer it anymore. In the early 1960s, Dunlop engineers began to research this until then unexplained phenomenon. For both road and racing use, their work revolutionized tire development, which then really took off.
Bereits 1960 hat
Dunlop was already doing research into aquaplaning as early as 1960, and their tests showed for the first time what we already know today, that at higher speeds a tire's aquaplaning behavior gets significantly worse. They also showed that the water depth, the tire's width and the depth of the tire's tread all play a role in this. From small car to F1 racer, aquaplaning has always been spectacular, but dangerous too. If it catches you out, it's almost impossible to stop. Of that, Patrick Simon is well aware. With over 20 years of motor racing experience, the endurance race driver carries out an aquaplaning test for inside racing. With the bodywork removed, I can look at my tire and the depth of the tread. The law says 1.6 millimeters is enough. After that, the tire's got to come off. In relation to aquaplaning, 3 millimeters is often too little. This black edge shows when the tire is worn down. For us, it's clearly too little. We want to do a test with a new tire, and for that, we need lots of water. Hoses on, lads. Cloudbursts, downpours and torrential rain. A cushion of water forms under the tire that reduces contact with the asphalt. Forces no longer get transferred and the car can't be steered. In motorsport, this means time for the intermediate tires or wets. As on slicks with no tread, the drivers have no chance on a rain-drenched surface. It's different with wets. Here the water's guided away using an asymmetric tread pattern with very wide or lots of lengthways grooves enabling high speeds of flow. So that this works even when the wheel's being turned, the channels are designed so that the water gets fed away with the least possible resistance. The more efficient the tread, the faster the car can go. For the race teams, however, it's still a difficult choice, as weather conditions are seldom stable. The challenge is to make the right choice at the right time. Otherwise, you either fly off the track or soon lag behind. But when should you put which ones on? In motor racing, you've essentially got three types of tire: slicks, intermediates and wets. When you're squinting on a wet surface, intermediates are ideal for the time when the track's damp, but there's no standing water. If it becomes more, then you need to put the wets on in order to simply transport the water away via the tread, the grooves. And when it dries off, you then use the slicks. A direct comparison shows clearly how much better the wets maintain contact with the surface in wet conditions, especially in corners where the risk of aquaplaning is particularly high. Enough of the theory. Now back to tough, fast, wet racing reality. Tips from the pro. One of the most important factors in motor racing, especially when the track's wet, is simply reading the circuit correctly. You've got to try to know exactly how much standing water there is, where, and how much grip there is on the asphalt. Some circuits, like the Nordschleife, have 30 or 40 different asphalt surfaces, each with different grip, especially in the wet, which you've simply got to read. Motorsport's not just a physical thing, it needs a lot of thought too. You've got to think ahead and keep your eyes open to anticipate what could happen, and you need an extremely good feel, especially in your backside, for when the car starts to slide. And maybe it's precisely this that makes rain-affected races so fascinating for the fans. The perfect feel and the right reaction make the difference. Some end up in the gravel, some aquaplane around at the back, and others become celebrated, weather-defying heroes.